Welcome to When Nerds Learn to Fly. The Pygmalion effect is the phenomenon whereby higher expectations lead to an increase in performance. You may have heard the word Pygmalion in reference to the play that My Fair Lady was fashioned after. George Bernard Shaw's 1913 play was about a snobbish professor and a cockney young woman who was trying to better herself. I have some squirrels that are acting a little bit like that cockney woman, and I want to get them under control. And this is a video about how I'm trying to train my squirrels to behave in a more ladylike manner. Patience is the key when it comes to trying to tame a wild squirrel. Just like some people, some of them are friendlier than others, some of them trust more easily than others. They're pretty smart, so they figure out very quickly who they can trust. I started off with trying to create an area where I would leave food for them. We've got a yard filled with trees, so it's easy for them to hang out in the yard and feel safe with all of the tree cover. I started off with the feeders and then started to sit on the floor with food nearby me, and then started moving the food closer and closer. I find that with the sunflower seeds, that causes them to sit a lot closer and stay and eat. Larger foods such as corn or peanuts they'll grab and run with. Finally, I've got them so that they're eating out of my hand. But the problem that I'm having now is squirrels have this dominance over one another. So every once in a while, the squirrels that get more comfortable with me become braver, and then they start to have this dominance with one another over me, the source of food. So I'll get one that continues to chase off the other squirrels. Yesterday was no different. One of my male squirrels, who was very comfortable with me, was charging and growling at any other squirrel that would get close by. And even as much as I love one-on-one interaction with a squirrel, I also like to have several of them. I feel guilty if not everybody is getting food. So to try to get him to understand that this was not acceptable behavior, each time that he would charge a squirrel, I'd move my foot. This would startle him, and he would stop for a second. After a while, he began to understand that each time he charged someone else, that he would get a sudden movement in his direction, maybe a verbal scolding also. It didn't take too long for him to associate the behavior with the result. He did start to get a little bit better, start to calm down a little bit. The other squirrels, noticing this, seemed to also get a little bit more comfortable. So I continued with this. At one point, the foot movement stopped being enough. At that point, I started to point or make sudden movements with my hands. Unfortunately, this scared the other squirrels at the same time, but it did have an effect on him. After probably a couple of hours of sitting out there and feeding the squirrels and repeating this behavior with him, he did start to be less aggressive. The other squirrels noticed and they stopped running from him as much. And before it was all over, I had about 3 squirrels all taking food from either a close proximity to me or from off of my knees and from my hand. I don't know how long it's going to take this to be a behavior that they all learn, or even if they can, but at this point I am pleased with some of the results. Hey. Hey.
Hey, Tony, there's another one over there. Yeah, they've been watching us for quite some time. Hey, me and the crew, we ain't gonna mug you or nothing, so just click that subscribe button. We could use the spare change. Go ahead and do that so we can keep those peanuts flowing. Thank you.